There is a specific kind of silence that fills a room right before your life changes forever. It is not peaceful. It is not calm. It is the kind of silence where you can hear your own heartbeat in your ears, where every breath feels too loud, where you know something terrible is about to be said, but you cannot stop it from coming. I was sitting in that silence on an August morning 1 week before I was supposed to leave for college. The acceptance letter from State University sat on my desk upstairs the computer science program I had worked 4 years to get into. I had a partial scholarship. I had saved money from summer jobs. My parents had promised to cover the rest. That morning, they called a family meeting. My father's voice on the phone had been tight-strained. My mother said we needed to talk about the future. I walked downstairs to find them sitting in the living room with my older brother Derek, who was grinning like he had just won the lottery. My parents looked serious. I felt my stomach drop. My father cleared his throat and said the words that would split my life into before and after. Before I tell you what happened in that living room, and trust me, you will not believe it. I want to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. If you have ever felt overlooked in your own family, hit that like button. And subscribe, because what happened next changed everything. Now, let me take you back to that moment when my entire future shattered in a single sentence. I need to tell you about my family first, so you understand why what happened hurt so much. I grew up in a small town in the Midwest. My father worked as an electronics repair technician. My mother was a nurse at the local hospital. We were not rich, but we had enough. I was the younger son. Derek was 7 years older, and from the time I could remember he had always been the favorite. He got the bigger bedroom. He got the new toys while I got hand-me-downs. He went on special trips with our parents while I stayed with our grandmother. But I never complained. I just worked harder, tried to prove myself in other ways. When I was in 9th grade, I discovered computers, not just using them, but understanding how they worked. I taught myself to code using free tutorials online. I stayed up until 2 in the morning learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I joined coding competitions at school and placed in the top 3 every time. By junior year, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Computer science at State University. It was a solid public school 3 hours away known for its tech program. I applied early. I worked on my application essays for months. When the acceptance letter came with a 40% scholarship, I cried. My parents hugged me and said they were proud. They promised they would help with the remaining $15,000 per year. I spent that entire summer working at a local grocery store, stocking shelves and bagging groceries, saving every penny for living expenses. Derek, meanwhile, had graduated from college 3 years earlier with a business degree. He had tried 2 or 3 different jobs, but quit all of them because they were not a good fit, he said. He moved back home and did not pay rent. He spent most of his time in his room working on what he called business plans. Recently, he had been talking nonstop about starting his own company. A tech startup, he called it, even though Derek could not write a single line of code. He had this idea for a platform that would connect freelancers with small businesses, sort of like Fiverr, but unique, he insisted. He talked about it at every dinner, every family gathering. He needed funding. He needed investors. He needed someone to believe in his vision. My parents listened to him like he was the next Steve Jobs. That morning in the living room, I sat down on the old blue couch. Derek was sitting next to my father holding a thick binder that I assumed was his business plan. My mother sat on the other side, her hand gripping my father's tightly. Their eyes would not meet mine. I felt a knot forming in my chest. My father started talking. His voice was trying to sound firm, but I could hear him avoiding something. "Harold," he said, "you know this family has always supported each other." Derek cut in before my father could finish. He started talking about his opportunity of the century, this platform he wanted to build, how it would change everything, how he just needed $45,000 to get started. Office space hiring, a developer marketing budget. He laid it all out like it was a done deal. My father cleared his throat again and said the words I will never forget. "We have decided to invest in Derek." My mother added quietly, "You understand, right?" I did not understand. I asked what that meant for me, for my tuition. There was a long pause. Then my father said it plainly. "We gave your tuition money to Derek's business." The room tilted. My ears started ringing. I asked if he was joking. He was not. My mother said I could defer for a year, or maybe start at community college. My father said when Derek's company took off, the family would have more money than we knew what to do with. Then I could go to any school I wanted. I sat there frozen. I looked at Derek. He was smiling, not even a hint of guilt on his face. I looked at my parents. They were staring at the floor. I asked, my voice shaking, "But I start in a week. We already paid the deposit. What am I supposed to do?" My mother said we would figure it out. My father said this was a family decision. Then Derek stood up. He put his hand on my shoulder like he was some wise older brother. He said, "Bro, this is bigger than college. We are building a legacy here. Be proud you are supporting the family." Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. Be proud you are supporting the family. As if I should thank them for stealing my future. As if I should be grateful. I felt rage rising in my throat, but I swallowed it down. I looked around the room. Nobody thought this was wrong. Nobody was on my side. I stood up without saying a word and walked out of the living room. I went upstairs to my room and closed the door. I sat on the floor with my back against the door and stared at the walls. My awards from coding competitions were hanging there. My laptop sat on my desk, the laptop I had bought myself with money from my first job. The college acceptance letter was pinned to my bulletin board. Everything I had worked for was now a joke. I did not sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation over and over. Derek, who had never worked hard a day in his life, got $45,000. I got nothing. Not because I was not good enough, not because I had not earned it, but because I was not the favorite. I thought about the phrase Derek used. Be proud you are supporting the family. If this was what family meant, then I did not want any part of it. Somewhere around 4 a.m, I made a decision. I was leaving. The next morning, I did not go downstairs for breakfast. I packed quietly. I took my clothes, my laptop, my important documents. I checked my bank account. I had $3,200 saved from my summer job. It was not much, but it was enough to survive for a few months if I was careful. I wrote a note on a piece of paper and left it on my desk. I am leaving. Do not look for me. I will figure it out on my own. That was it. No long explanation, no tearful goodbye. I just needed to go. I grabbed my backpack and a small duffel bag. I walked downstairs while my parents and Derek were in the living room watching television. They did not even notice me. I opened the front door and stepped outside. The morning sun was bright and harsh. I turned back and looked at the house one last time. I did not feel sad anymore. I felt determined. If they would not invest in me, I would invest in myself. I walked away and did not look back. The first month after I left was the hardest time of my life. Not because I was struggling with money or shelter, but because I felt completely alone. I found a tiny room in an old apartment building downtown. It was $500 a month, and I had to share a bathroom with 3 other people. The room was barely big enough for a twin bed and a small desk. The walls were thin. I could hear my neighbors arguing through the walls every night. There was no air conditioning, and the summer heat made it feel like an oven. But it was mine. It was freedom. I started looking for work immediately. I had no college degree, just a high school diploma and a portfolio of coding projects I had built on my own. I applied to Amazon, Google, Microsoft. All of them rejected me. Smaller companies wanted me to at least be enrolled in college. I felt desperate. Finally, I found a part-time job at a coffee shop, $12 an hour. I worked the morning shift 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. I made lattes and cleaned tables and smiled at customers even though I was exhausted. I needed the money. Every afternoon and evening, I taught myself to code. I took free courses on Coursera, watched YouTube tutorials, went through every lesson on Free Code Camp. I learned web development from the ground up. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Node.js. I built small projects, a personal portfolio website, a to-do list app, a weather app that pulled data from an API. I posted everything on GitHub. I joined Discord servers and forums where other developers hung out. I stayed up until midnight or 1 in the morning every single night learning and building. I slept 4 or 5 hours and then woke up to do it all over again. By the second month, I stumbled onto something that changed everything. I was scrolling through Reddit one night and saw a post about freelancing. Someone had made $3,000 in a month building websites for small businesses. I had never thought about freelancing before, but it made sense. I did not need a degree to build a website. I just needed skills. I created accounts on Upwork and Fiverr. I made a profile, uploaded my portfolio, and started bidding on jobs. At first, nothing happened. Nobody wanted to hire someone with 0 reviews. So I lowered my prices, way lower. I bid $50 to build a basic website just to get my foot in the door. My first client was a woman who owned a nail salon. She needed a simple website where customers could book appointments online. I worked on it for 3 days straight, barely sleeping. I delivered it early. She loved it. She paid me $200 more than I had quoted and left me a 5-star review. That review changed everything. Suddenly, I started getting more inquiries. I took on 2 or 3 small projects every week. Website for a bakery, landing page for a fitness coach, e-commerce site for someone selling handmade jewelry. My prices went up slowly. $50 became $100. $100 became $200. $200 became $300. By the 4th month, I was making $2,500. By the 5th month, $4,200. By the 6th month, $6,800. I could not believe it. I quit my coffee shop job and went full-time into freelancing. I moved into a nicer studio apartment. $900 a month, but it had air conditioning and a real kitchen. I bought a new laptop so I could work faster. For the first time since leaving home, I felt like I could breathe. But even with the success, I felt empty. I had no friends in this city. Nobody to share my wins with. I thought about my family sometimes. I wondered if they ever thought about me. I wondered if they missed me, but I never called. My pride would not let me. They made their choice. Now I had to live with mine. Between months 7 and 12, everything accelerated. I was getting overwhelmed with projects. I could not handle them all by myself. So I made a decision. I hired 2 other freelance developers I had met online. We split the work. I kept 40% of the profit and gave them 30% each. It was fair, and it worked. With a team, I could take on bigger projects. Instead of $300 websites, I started quoting $3,000, then $5,000, then $10,000. I created a name for my little agency, Forge Digital Solutions. It sounded official even though it was just me and 2 other people working remotely. By month 10, I was personally making $12,000. By month 11, $15,500. By month 12, $18,000. I did the math. Over the entire year, I had earned over $100,000. 6 figures. No degree, no help, just me and a laptop. One day, I was scrolling through Facebook. I had not blocked my family, but I never interacted with their posts. I saw something from Derek. The post said, "Sometimes dreams do not work out as planned." The comments were full of sympathy from relatives. "You tried your best. We are proud of you anyway." I felt a chill run down my spine. I searched for more information and found a local news article. Derek's startup had shut down after 10 months. The article said the company failed to find product-market fit, burned through funding, and generated no revenue. $45,000. My tuition money. Gone. I stared at the screen for a long time. I did not feel happy. I did not feel victorious. I just felt hollow. A week after I saw the news about Derek's failed business, my phone rang. It was late evening, and I was working on a project proposal. The number on the screen was not saved, but I recognized it. It was my parents' landline. I had not heard from them in over a year. My hand hovered over the phone. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part of me, the part that still remembered being their son, made me answer. I picked up. "Hello." There was a pause, and then I heard my mother's voice. "Harold, is that you?" Her voice was shaking like she had been crying. "Yes," I said. "It is me." She started asking questions. Where was I? What was I doing? Was I okay? I answered in short sentences. I did not give her much. I was fine. I was working. I was safe. Then she started talking about Derek, how his business had failed, how he lost all the money, how he was struggling now, unemployed and depressed, barely leaving his room. She said my father was stressed. They had taken out loans to help Derek pay off some debts. Then she said something that made my blood run cold. "I heard from some relatives that you are doing something with computers. Do you have a stable job? How much are you making?" I realized in that moment what this call was really about. It was not about checking on me. It was about money. "Who told you that I asked?" She avoided the question. "We just heard things. Are you doing well financially?" I felt a surge of anger. "I am doing fine, Mom. I have to go." I hung up before she could say anything else. A few days later, my father called. His voice was trying to sound strong, but I could hear desperation underneath. "Harold," he said, "you are a good son. I know we made mistakes, but family is family." He talked about their financial problems, the loans they had taken, the money they lost on Derek's business. Then he asked the question I knew was coming. "Can you help the family out a little?" "Not much, just a few thousand." I sat there in silence. Then I asked, "Where did the $45,000 go?" "The money you gave Derek." "My money." He stammered. "That was an investment. Nobody could have predicted it would fail." I said I have to go and hung up. The next day, Derek called. His voice sounded tired and defeated, nothing like the confident tone he had a year ago. "Bro," he said, "I messed up. I know that. But I am your brother." He went on about how the business failed. Bad timing, wrong market, too much competition, not enough technical skills. He said he heard I was doing well building websites. That is awesome, man. Then he got to the real reason for the call. "Can you help me get back on my feet? Maybe hire me, or just lend me some money." I felt a wave of rage building. I asked him one question. "Did you ever apologize for taking my tuition?" There was silence on the other end. I did not wait for an answer. "Goodbye, Derek." I hung up. My mother called again the next evening. This time she was crying. "How can you be so cold?" she said. "I am your mother. I gave birth to you. I raised you. Derek is your brother. You cannot just abandon him. Your father and I are getting old. Who do we have if not our sons?" Then she said the thing that hurt the most. "You are making good money now. Why can you not share a little with your family?" I realized they did not see me as a son. They saw me as a wallet. The calls kept coming. 10 or 15 calls over the next week. Text messages I did not read. Voicemails I deleted. I knew I had to end this. I made a decision. I needed to face them. Running away had given me freedom, but it had not given me closure. I got in my car one Saturday morning and drove 3 hours back to my hometown. I did not tell them I was coming. I parked in front of the house and sat there for a few minutes, staring at the place I used to call home. It looked the same, but it felt like a lifetime ago. I got out of the car and walked to the front door. I knocked. My mother opened the door. Her face went pale. "Harold!" She gasped. She called for my father and Derek. They came rushing out. The living room felt smaller than I remembered. I did not sit down. I stood near the door and looked at all 3 of them. I did not let them speak first. I came here to say this once I started, and I will not repeat it. A year ago, you took my tuition. Money I worked for. Money I earned with scholarships and summer jobs. You gave it to Derek. You told me to be proud. Proud of supporting the family. I was not given a choice. I was not even given respect. Derek got $45,000 to chase a dream he was not ready for. I got nothing. You know what I did. I continued. I left. I did not beg. I did not cry. I just left. And in 1 year, I built something. No degree, no help, just me. I am making 6 figures now. My business is growing. I did what Derek could not do with all your support. My mother started crying. "So you are saying you do not love us anymore," she said. My father stayed silent, staring at the floor. Derek looked angry. "So you are here to rub it in my face," he said. "No," I said. "I am here to set boundaries. I do not owe you money. I do not owe Derek a job. I do not owe you anything. You made your choice. Now live with it. If you want a relationship with me, it starts with an apology. A real one. Not because you need something, but because you hurt me. Until then, stop calling." I turned and walked toward the door. My mother called out, "Harold, wait." I did not turn around. I got in my car and drove away. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing in the doorway. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I had said what I needed to say. Over the next few months, my life continued to improve. Forge Digital Solutions expanded. I hired 6 developers, 2 designers, and a project manager. We rented a small office space downtown. Revenue was steady, $30,000 to $40,000 per month. I was personally earning between $180,000 and $200,000 per year. We started taking on bigger clients, mid-size companies, a few enterprise projects. I was invited to speak at local meetups and conferences about freelancing and self-taught development. My personal life got better too. I made friends in the local developer community. I started going to meetups and hackathons. I met someone there, a woman named Amy, who worked as a UI and UX designer. We started dating. She knew my story. She supported me. I moved into a nicer 2-bedroom apartment with a great view. I bought a new car, a Honda Civic, nothing too flashy but reliable and mine. Life felt stable, comfortable. I was building something real. I still kept an eye on my family through social media. Derek eventually found a regular office job making $45,000 a year. My parents were paying off their debts slowly. Their life looked harder than before. They stopped calling me. Maybe they finally understood. One Thanksgiving, my mother sent me a text message. "We miss you. We are sorry." I read it, but did not reply right away. I needed time. Maybe one day we would talk again. Maybe one day I would forgive them. But not yet. For now, I was living my own life, and that was enough. Looking back now, I can see the entire journey clearly. Those first few months after I left home were the darkest days I have ever experienced. Not because I was broke or homeless, but because I felt abandoned by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. I would lie in bed at night in that tiny hot room and ask myself, am I not good enough? Why did they choose him over me? What did I do wrong? I felt worthless. I questioned everything about myself. Maybe they were right. Maybe I should have just accepted it and gone to community college. Maybe I was being selfish. But every morning I forced myself to get up. I made coffee on the little hot plate in my room. I opened my laptop and kept working. Not because I wanted to prove something to them. At least, not at first. I did it because I wanted to prove something to myself. I wanted to know if I could survive on my own, if I could build a life without their help, if I could succeed when everyone had counted me out. Each small victory helped me heal. Every client who trusted me, every project I completed, every 5-star review, every dollar I earned. It was not just about the money. It was about proving to myself that I had value, that my worth was not determined by how much they invested in me, but by how much I invested in myself. The developer community I found online became my real family. People I had never met in person believed in me more than my own parents did. They answered my questions. They reviewed my code. They cheered me on. Amy, my girlfriend, listened to my story without judgment. She told me something I will never forget. You are not defined by what they did to you. You are defined by what you did after. Slowly, the wound started to heal. I stopped feeling angry all the time. I stopped checking their social media obsessively. I started focusing on my own growth. I went to the gym. I read books about entrepreneurship and mental health. I cooked healthy meals instead of living on ramen. I learned to balance work and life instead of grinding 16 hours a day. I realized that success was not just about making money. It was about finding peace within yourself. I did not need their approval anymore. I had my own. I learned some hard lessons about family through all of this. Family is supposed to be your foundation. The people who lift you up when you fall. The people who believe in you even when you do not believe in yourself. But sometimes they are the ones who crack that foundation. Sometimes the people who share your blood are the ones who hurt you the most. I learned that blood does not automatically mean loyalty. Real family, the people who truly care are the ones who show up, not the ones who only call when they need something from you. I am not telling you to cut off your family if they hurt you. That is not my place to say. But I am telling you this. It is okay to set boundaries. It is okay to walk away from toxicity even if it comes from people you love. You can love someone from a distance. You can forgive them without letting them back into your life. Forgiveness is not about them. It is about freeing yourself from the weight of bitterness and anger. I also learned something about self-worth. Your value is not measured by how others treat you. For years I thought I was not enough because they chose Derek over me. I thought there was something wrong with me. But I was enough. I always was. They just could not see it. The moment you stop seeking validation from people who do not value you, you become unstoppable. I did not need their money. I did not need their approval. I just needed to believe in myself. And once I did, everything changed. Success is not about proving people wrong. It is about proving yourself right. I did not build my business to rub it in their faces. I built it because I had no other choice. I had to survive. I had to create a future for myself. And when they came calling, asking for help, I did not gloat. I did not mock them. I just set boundaries. I told them what I needed from them if we were ever going to have a relationship again. Respect, an apology, acknowledgement of what they did. I chose not to be bitter. Bitterness is poison you drink hoping someone else will die. I chose to be free instead. I am 25 years old now. My agency is still growing. We are working on launching a software-as-a-service product next year. Amy and I moved in together. We have a small apartment with a balcony where we drink coffee on Sunday mornings. Life is simple. Life is peaceful. I still think about my parents and Derek sometimes. Do I miss them? Honestly, yes. Sometimes I do. There are moments when I wish things had been different, when I wish I could call my mom and tell her about my day, when I wish my dad could be proud of me. But I cannot change the past. I can only control what I do moving forward. Will we reconcile one day? Maybe. I am open to it, but only if they truly understand what they did. Only if they can acknowledge the pain they caused, and only on my terms. I am not going back to being the son who gets overlooked, the son who gets his dreams stolen, the son who is expected to be grateful for scraps. I deserve more than that, and until they see that I am focused on building the life I deserve, a life where I am valued, a life where I am respected, a life where I am enough. If you are watching this and you have been overlooked, underestimated, or cast aside by the people who were supposed to lift you up, I want you to hear this. You do not need their permission to succeed. You do not need their money. You do not need their approval. You do not need their validation. You just need to believe in yourself enough to take the first step. The road will be hard. There will be nights when you want to give up, when you question if you made the right choice, when you feel alone and scared. But keep going, because on the other side of that fear is freedom. On the other side of that pain is strength. And maybe, just maybe, that is the greatest lesson they ever taught me. Not by what they gave me, but by what they took away. Have you ever been in a situation where your family put someone else first and left you behind? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If this story hit home for you, smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more real stories like this. And share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who feels invisible. Someone who is fighting to prove their worth. Let them know they are not alone. Thanks for listening. Take care of yourself. Remember your worth. And never let anyone, not even family, make you feel like you are not enough. You are worth more than they will ever know.